Today we're studying buyer beware, and this is dealing with relating tables and graphs. Up until now, we've been dealing with ratios and unit rates with a chart, with completing using a calculator to figure out per ounce. Well, today we're taking that same information you would have been looking at with ratio tables with graphing. So the scenario for my lesson deals with different beverages you can buy at the grocery store and the per ounce certain cost. So I've got 20 ounces costs 80 cents for the fruit punch, where a Coke for 12 ounces costs 96 cents, again at the grocery store. Your example in class today is dealing with different foods at the grocery store. You have different ounces over here, and you have different prices on the inside. I wanted to give you an example of how to do it before you got started today. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to make a graph. And I've already sketched one out. And on my x-axis, it's labeled ounces in the product. And I know that I've got to go from 1 ounce all the way down to 128 ounces. So I've got to scale my graph appropriately so all of my points can get accounted for. I chose to go by 20s because that's it's a good number. I can go 20, 40, 60, 80, and on up, and I can go in between if I need to. If you had a small range, like 20 as your range, you could have made the scale smaller and you'd have more accurate pieces, but we have a large piece of data. On my y-axis, the y going up, the y-axis we're dealing with the price per product. And this time I started off scaling by $1, so I've got $1, $2, $3, and $4. And then I went through and did halves, the 50-cent marks. I didn't label all of those because they're not really needed. But, if you want to do that, you can. And then in between my 50-cent marks, I have the quarter marks, because those are the relevant pieces of money we deal with, our quarters, 50 cents, and dollars. Now, with this information, I'm going to be going back to my chart. And again, I'm not using my calculator. I'm not saying 96 cents divided by 12 to figure out the cost per ounce. What I'm doing this time is I'm graphing the piece of data on my chart, and then from there I'm going to analyze and answer the questions that are on my page. So with my first piece of information, I see that 1 ounce is worth 2 cents for the orange juice. So I'm going to go to my chart and find 1 ounce, which I know is going to be very close to the 0, as well as the 2 cents is going to be very close to the 0. So I'm going to estimate about right here's the 1 mark, and the 2 cents is going to be really close. And then I'm going to take my ruler, get a ruler, don't use your free hand, get a ruler or straight edge, and you're going to, I'm going to get my line drawn so I can move in a second. You're going to take your line and you're going to line your ruler up in the center, and I've got to get that line right on that dot, and then pull the line all the way off the page. But the key thing is to keep in mind, to remember, is that line has to start at the 0, the origin, and it has to connect through that dot for orange juice. And I'm going to label over here, so I'm out of the way of the lines. I'm going to label this orange juice. Okay, let me go back to my graph. My second one is 12 ounces is 96 cents for the Coke. So I'm going to find 12 ounces, which is a little more than halfway. And it costs, 96 cents, almost $1. So 12 ounces and almost $1. So this dot is going to go about, that's too far over. Let me slide over some. Let's go about right there. And again, try to use graph paper with the lines to be a lot easier for you. And again, I'm going to copy this line for the sake of time. And then I can use that same line. Again, going through the 0, the origin, and rotating it up through that red dot. It's right there. And then extend my line off the page. Okay? And then label that one Coke. Go back to my chart, and I've got 20 ounces is 80 cents for the fruit punch. So 20 ounces is 80 cents. So 20 is here, 75 is there, about right there. Paste. Let's get my 0. My line is on the 0. And again, move your line, your ruler, across that point. And this one was the Gatorade. Okay. Fruit punch. So this was fruit punch. And you label it as such. My third one, so 64 ounces is $3.20 for the Gatorade. So 64 ounces is $3.20. So 64 ounces, and then up 64 up to $3. I'm going to draw a line to help me out right here. I'll erase it in 1 second. And $3.20, which is about that halfway mark. So my intersection is right there, and I'm going to erase that line that I helped create that. There. Okay? And then I'll need to get my line again. In the origin. Okay? And this one was the Gatorade. And then my final point was, looks like milk for $3.84 and 128 ounces. So 128 ounces. This is all the way over here. That's 120. So I'm estimating about right there. And 384. Yes, 384, which is about above there. It's about right where that fruit punch T is. And I'm going to erase my line I helped create. Good to use for the tracking pieces. And my last line to lay down, again, my origin, and then move that line to where the dot is, and then label that one my Gatorade. Sorry, my milk. And I think what I'm going to do so that it's clear, I'm going to move my fruit punch down a little bit. Whoops, that's not the fruit punch. Okay, well, move my fruit punch to underneath. So what I can see by looking at this graph, this price graph, is that the steeper the line, the more costly the product is per ounce. So you can see coming out of the origin, that line goes steeper and steeper, means that 0 mark or that 1 ounce mark is higher in price. So the Coke is the most expensive per ounce, and the orange juice is the least expensive per ounce. So usually when you see prices in the grocery store, you're given a variety of sizes. So orange juice might come in a gallon, a half gallon, a quart. The small ones, you can do the same kind of cost analysis for those. The smaller containers, like your water bottles, these cost way more per ounce than a gallon of water would cost. So keep that in mind when you're purchasing to be an avid buyer. So what you're going to do now in class is you're going to create a price graph with the information that I've given you on relating tables and graphs. And after you complete your price graph, you have the questions. You have all of these questions to answer, and you may use your team to go, to work through that together. So again, you're not having to use the calculator to find every blank. You're using the graph to help you fill in that information.